Ready, set, adventure! Welcome to Hikanuki World Tour and to day 5 on the NCL Pearl. Today we're in Kotor Montenegro. We'll climb a fortress, eat some pizza, and drink some beer, and meet some of the lucky cats of Montenegro. So come join us for a busy day. Today is day 5 on our NCL cruise aboard the Pearl. We're anchored today in Kotor Montenegro, and what a beautiful sight! We're anchored in the Bay of Kotor and can enjoy 360-degree views of the rugged coastline. Because the ship is anchored, we will have to take a tender to get to the port. The tender process is always a little bit inconvenient. We had to pick up tickets for the tender starting at 7 a.m. that morning, and tour groups are always prioritized. As we got closer to the pier, we could see that Cunard's Queen Victoria was docked. Kotor has a number of different boat tours you can take, including one to see the church Our Lady of the Rocks. We boarded the tender at about 10:15. The tender ride was about 15 or 20 minutes, and the tender ran continuously. Our plan today is to visit the Old City, which was built between the 12th and 14th centuries. After that, we plan to climb the 1,350 steps as we scale the old town's city walls. We'll also encounter the many cats of Kotor. The cats have lived in Kotor for centuries and protect the town from rats, mice, and snakes. They're also seen as a symbol of good luck and prosperity. So the cats are popular and well taken care of. The water was very calm today. The winds had really died down. It was in the mid-60s and overcast, so perfect weather for the strenuous hike we were to take. After our 15-minute tender ride, we were ready to explore the port. It's hard to stop looking at the beautiful steep limestone mountains, and the water is like glass. I can't wait to see the views from the walls. Before we go on a cruise, we usually try to do a little bit of research on each port. That way, when we arrive, we have at least a general idea of what we're going to do for the day, and sometimes a very specific plan. Looking at what excursions the ship offers is a good way to see what the highlights of the port are going to be. Ship excursions tend to be more expensive, but they tend to be more worry-free. Today we're going to explore the city on our own. We'll take the escalator down underneath the road and come up at the Old Town.
Hello guys, maybe a private tour for you?
If you don't book a tour in advance, there's almost always guides at the ports. Just make sure you know exactly what the price is going to be before agreeing to take a tour. We've also gotten some good tours through Viator and Get Your Guide. And now we've arrived at the medieval old town of Kotor Montenegro. We've never been here before, but so far the beauty of the place is stunning. The palm trees give it a tropical feel, while the mountains reminded me of Alaska. Passengers on the Queen Victoria were lucky because they got to dock right at the port. Our tender wasn't too bad, but you just have to keep in mind that you have to take a tender back to the ship and get there on time. With our ship plus another ship in town, we know it's going to be crowded. Just another day and what we like to call shoulder-to-shoulder season. We'll start by exploring the old city and then making our way to the climb up the old walls. Then after that, we'll go try some of the local cuisine. We entered the old town through the sea gate. This is the central gate of the city and was built in the 16th century. The date above the gate is the date the city was liberated from the Nazis. And don't miss your photo op on the giant bench. Stop by the tourist information booth and pick up a map of the city. The city is triangular in shape, bordered by the magnificent mountains, the Bay of Kotor, and the river. This compact city is characterized by its winding streets, charming squares, and historic landmarks. 2 cannons flank the entrance of the sea gate. Upon entering through the sea gate, you will be in the Square of Arms Plaza. This is the largest square within the walled city of Kotor. In Venetian times, munitions and arms were stored here. But now explore the cobblestone streets and find many charming restaurants, gift shops, alongside churches and areas of historical significance. This square is now a popular meeting place and one of the busiest places we've found in Kotor. Outside of the square, explore the many winding streets and discover many shops, not just souvenir shops. With its many outdoor dining spots, Kotor is a perfect place for people watching. Come along as we get to know the old city.
Esto era un monasterio dominicano.
A ne i Radovići su mi isto rodili. Naš Pilana Radović. On je rođak. Ja? Njegova majka od toga.
By this time, you'll probably have encountered at least a few cats. The hundreds of stray cats are looked after and adored by locals and visitors alike. Look closely around the city and you'll notice bowls of food and water left out for the cats. The cats keep down the population of mice and rats and snakes and are thought to bring good luck. You'll find many gift shops celebrating the cats as well as a cat museum. Just a reminder to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to Hikanuki World Tour. It really helps our channel grow. Thanks, we really do appreciate you. And now we're entering Piazza Greca, home to St. Luke's Church. St. Luke's is one of several churches that was built between 1185 and 1371 AD. This is one of the only churches in Kotor that wasn't damaged by earthquakes. Its architecture integrates Byzantine, Slavic, Romanesque, and Gothic elements. In the 17th century, Orthodox people arrived in Kotor, and the Catholics gave this church to them as a testimony to the harmonious coexistence of Catholic and Orthodox people. To this day, the church has two altars, a Catholic and an Orthodox one. Another interesting detail about St. Luke's is that the floor is comprised of tombstones from communal graves of Kotor's residents. While much smaller than the neighboring St. Nicholas Church, it's still worth a visit. And this is the Church of St. Nicholas. This is an Orthodox church built between 1902 and 1909. It's built on the site of an Orthodox church that existed from 1810 to 1896, but then burned down. Upon entering, on the left you'll see a selection of gifts and postcards of the items displayed in the church. Within the church are a selection of art, icons, pieces of silver, and a striking iconostasis. The iconostasis, commonly found in Orthodox churches, serves as a division between the sanctuary and the nave. Beautiful stained glass windows can be found throughout. St. Nicholas is considered the most important Orthodox church in Kotor. Back outside, we continued our walk around the city. The squares were abuzz with activity as the weather started to improve. We stopped in at Boken to try a sample of the Kotor cream pie. The Kotor cream pie, or krempita, is a puff pastry with thick custard. We saw it on a list of must-try desserts and wanted to try it for ourselves. Although a little difficult to eat with a plastic fork in a plastic container, we did our best and we tried it and found it delicious. This was one of our favorite walkways. I thought it was so picturesque. And this is St. Mary's Church. It's notable for its bronze doors covered in bas-reliefs. A bas-relief is an artistic technique that involves carving a design into a surface. The church also houses the remains of Saint Osana, protector of Kotor. Next, we encountered a park-like setting with many of the cats of Kotor. Many of the cats are very independent, while others enjoy sitting on laps and are friendly and affectionate. And here's a cute little tiny guy on the fountain. The cats certainly attract a lot of attention. And now, we could put it off no longer. It was time to start the climb. Be sure to take some water with you. The main entrance to climb St. John's Fortress is located beneath this historic archway. There's a red sign on the wall to the right marking the entrance. Follow this cobblestone pathway up to the North Fortress. At the top you'll find a gated entry point where you'll pay €8. Make sure to hold on to that ticket that's issued because you need it to get back out. For us, it was about 70 degrees and overcast. Actually perfect weather for this climb. It can get oppressively hot in Montenegro, and we were lucky to have a mild day. As you can see, the path is very uneven, and there are many stairs. If you're struggling at all at this point, turn around and don't even attempt. This part of the path is easy compared to some of the other parts. I also suggest starting early in the morning because it gets very crowded. We started our hike at 11:15 and wished we had started earlier. People going both directions makes a difficult hike even more so. There's only one path up and down. The path has about 1,350 steps and takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. If you're on a cruise ship, make sure to leave enough time to get back. It's also absolutely imperative to have sturdy, non-slip shoes. On our visit, the entry fee was €8. Be sure to keep your ticket because they'll collect it on your way back out. There's another pathway, the Ladder of Kotor, which you could also climb. That trail is free of charge, but takes about 5 hours. You'll be ascending about 4,000 feet, and along the way, pass through the old fortress ruins and have different stops to look out at the bay. I'd say the hike is more about the views and the sense of accomplishment rather than seeing anything specific along the path. But the views are spectacular and only get better as you keep going up. There are a few points of interest marked along the way, as well as a couple of places to stop and take some photos. The long mountain on the other side of the bay is Vermets, in the coastal town of Tryphon. If you decide not to do the hike, there are many interesting points around Kotor to go and visit. About halfway up, or about 650 steps up, you'll encounter the 16th century church. It was built as a sign of appreciation for protection from the plague. We continued up the path, although many people choose to turn around at the church. As you can see, there are basically two paths, one with stairs, the other a slope with rock and cobblestones. Personally, I thought it was easier to walk up the slope and down the steps. The next stopping point offered more beautiful views of the town below, with the Venetian-style stone buildings and terracotta roofs and shutters. This was a very popular resting place to stop and catch your breath and take in the views. But we weren't to the top yet, so we continued on. As you can see, it's a bit of a challenge when people are going both ways. The steps are probably the preferred method, so you have to yield your position at times, especially if you see someone who's struggling. It was starting to get a little more humid, and we were glad we had brought water. We arrived at another picturesque spot and stopped for some photos. When booking our cruise, we didn't really know much about Montenegro, and it turned out to be one of the most beautiful ports that we visited. And what a great spot for spectacular pictures. At this point, there was another welcome sight, someone selling cold drinks and water. And now the final ascent. Of course, what goes up must go down, but we'll worry about that in a few minutes. There was a fork in the road here and we went right.
Yeah.
Walking up's easier, walking down isn't.
People decorate the handrails with the labels from their water bottles. You have to cross a rickety platform, and this person wasn't convinced it was safe. Atop the hill, the fort is basically a multi-level ruin. The structure dates back to the Byzantine Empire in the year 532. And the fortress has been under the control of the Venetians, Russians, and French, just to name a few. You'll know you've reached the top when you see the flag of Montenegro. All in all, we found the hike to be moderate to strenuous. The ascent to the castle is a mild slope, but what makes it more difficult is the unevenness of the trail and the number of people on the trail. The weather can also change how strenuous it feels. We had a mild day, so it wasn't too bad, but I think it would have felt a lot more difficult on a hot, sunny day. The views were definitely spectacular, so we felt the hike was worth it, and we're very happy that we did it. My 3 tips are: wear appropriate shoes, bring water, and start early. These 3 things should enhance your experience. Here's a look at the other side. And now we're ready for the descent. I would say this was relatively easier, although you're still dealing with the same path. It took us an hour and a half to reach the top, but we did stop often to take photos. And the hike down took about 45 minutes. And back in the old city, the cats were napping. We walked over to the North Gate, or the River Gate, to go get something to eat. The River Gate is one of 3 gates and crosses the Skrda River. We chose Resto Bar Taraca for our lunch. They were serving local cuisine along the riverfront. Service was friendly and welcoming, and the food was really good. I would definitely recommend coming here, both for the food, the relaxing ambiance, and views of the river. And of course, a cold, refreshing beer. Don't worry, duck was not on the menu. We shared the basco, which was a chicken breast in a creamy mushroom and prosciutto sauce. After lunch, we went across the street to the bakery. We wanted to try the burek, which is phyllo dough stuffed with either meat, cheese, or spinach. While this is usually served at breakfast, we thought we wanted to try it. We chose the cheese filling. It was very enjoyable and quite filling.
Let's go.
And now we're gonna head back to the river gate and into the old city once more. This was really a beautiful city and exceeded our expectations. We had a very full day, but we needed to try the local beer. Cat lovers will really love it here. We headed to the Old Town pub, but there was nowhere to sit, so we continued walking. It was very busy in the city today. Then we happened upon one of our favorite things, pizza! It seemed to be a very popular place, so we stopped in because there's always room for pizza. Don't try to pass a counterfeit bill. The customer didn't seem the least bit surprised when her bill was rejected. We learned on our last trip to Europe that the 100 euro bill is not widely accepted, apparently because they're often counterfeit. Pizza was 3 euros a slice, so what a good deal.
A cheese, please.
It was thin and greasy, kind of a New York style. It's takeaway only, so we enjoyed our slice and the alleyway. And this is St. Tryphon's Cathedral. Originally consecrated in 1166, over time the church was damaged in earthquakes and has been rebuilt and renewed over the years. This is one of 2 Roman Catholic cathedrals and is the seat of the Roman Catholic Diocese in Kotor. This is a beautiful cathedral and contains what's considered Kotor's most valuable treasure, the gilded silver bas-relief altar screen. Come in with us as we explore this magnificent cathedral. After that impressive tour of the church, we made our way over to the Nitrox. This brew pub had a nice selection of local beers to offer. Besides trying local pizza, we always like to try the local beer as well. Their beers had some interesting names like Where the Party At? We chose to sit outside on what was now a beautiful day. This was a small place but quite busy. And here's their beer list. I had the Mad Scientist IPA, while my husband had the limited edition from House of the Dragon, the Black Council, which was a cinnamon and chili stout. The waiter took great care as he poured it skillfully into the drinking vessel. Perfect pour every time. We probably should have paid a little more attention to the price because 2 beers cost us 28 euros. After that, and feeling pretty confident that we had experienced most of the things we wished to accomplish in Kotor, we were ready to head back toward the ship. We passed back out through the sea gate and back down the escalator under the street. We passed by the Queen Victoria again, who had the lucky port spot. We headed back to find our tender. It was about 4:15 and all aboard time was 5:30, but we always like to get back with time to spare. We paused a moment to take in the beautiful sight of the sun on the mountains. I'm sure the sail away is going to be stunning. If you don't do the hike, make sure to look at all the boat tours that are offered. Back on board, we headed up to see Edsel, who's becoming one of the most popular guys in town. On our first few sailaways, this was kind of a hidden gem, but now, midway through the cruise, many people have discovered it. And for good reason. It's really an ideal spot, especially on a nice day, and you won't find a better bartender. I just can't stop looking around at Montenegro. It's almost like a movie set. And I think most of the other passengers felt the same way. This was truly an unexpected delight. And we'll grab a San Miguel before it's time to sail away. And here we go. Tomorrow we'll be in Dubrovnik, Croatia. We'll be taking a tour of some of the film spots from Game of Thrones. We're passing the seaside town of Perast. This town was a 20-minute drive from Kotor. It is a great place to catch a boat tour to Our Lady of the Rocks Church. The haze even added more to the scenic beauty. I think this was our busiest sail away of the cruise so far. The mountains of this port were just captivating. The Bay of Kotor is a submerged river valley made up of 4 bays that connect to make a butterfly shape. Now let's enjoy the scenery as we cruise to the Adriatic Sea.
Cheers. Cheers. Where are we? Are we having a good time?
We're in Kotor Montenegro. We're having a great time on the Norwegian Pearl. We're celebrating our 27th anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you so much.
And what's your Instagram page?
My Instagram, $200 or less watch.
All right, everybody follow that, please. What a nice couple. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
We swam today.
Yeah, today we swam in the
Tonight's show, Broadway Cabaret, was being held in the Spinnaker Lounge instead of the Stardust Theater. We decided to skip the show and go back on deck. Tonight we had a reservation at Lotus Garden, which is complimentary but does require a reservation. We started the meal with the hot and sour soup, followed by the pot stickers, and also egg rolls. Lotus Garden is the Asian fusion dining venue, and it features noodles, wok fried dishes, and soups. While it was complimentary for us, the NCL website says they will start charging after January of 2025. We had heard and read some scathing reviews, but we found the food was pretty tasty and we enjoyed our experience. I especially like the orange beef. I don't know what the price point will be in the future, but I would definitely recommend the teppanyaki restaurant over this. The restaurant also sits atop Magnum's bar, where they have live music, and it was quite loud in this restaurant. And now it's time for a little shopping. The selections of shops were pretty standard for cruise ships. There was a local shop with NCL and cruising related items, as well as handbags for sale. They had plush cruise ships as well as model cruise ships. And quite a few plush bears. There was a rather large selection of watches along with duty-free cigarettes and alcohol. And some must-haves like Pringles and suntan lotion. While you can purchase alcohol here, it will not be delivered to your cabin until the last night of the cruise. They also have some designer brand perfume and cosmetics. And now let's hear from one of the crew.
Hi, I'm Tirtha from India. I am a wonderful fan of Hikanuki World Tour here, and I'm really glad that I met this wonderful person here. I'm gonna follow you everywhere, Instagram and YouTube, and I'm here with NCL Pearl. It's a wonderful ship. Please come join us, guys, for your next cruise and more cruises. Ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
After that, we headed up to Deck 13 to the Sugarcane Mojito Bar. My favorite was the Spicy Passion Mojito. And then we headed over to the Spinnaker Lounge to see what was going on there. And they were dancing to a cruise ship favorite, YMCA. Sing along if you know it, because I can't play it due to copyright. The bartenders here were having a good time singing and dancing along too. And outside, all was quiet on the pool deck. We had had a very busy day, so it was time to head back to the cabin and look forward to tomorrow in Dubrovnik. It was a beautiful night, and I'm sure we'll sleep well. Thanks for joining us today at Hikanuki World Tour on our day in Montenegro. Our travel wisdom today comes from Jacques Cousteau. The part of the coast that belongs to Montenegro is the purest part of the Mediterranean. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram and hit that notification bell so you'll be alerted when new videos are dropped.